Hey, Coach. So glad you found the video. Couple things. First of all, make sure you subscribe and like. Second thing, go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. Let me show you how to put a roadmap and become a nationally ranked coach. I've done it for 30 plus years. Let me help you do that over at teachhoops.com. Let's head off to the video.
Okay. Coaches, welcome to another episode of Coaching Youth Hoops. I am your host, Coach Bill Flitter. Today we have a special guest, Coach Patrick O'Connor from the DC area. Welcome to the show, Patrick.
Thank you, Bill. I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. So, coaches, we're going to dig into defense, but before we do that, head on over to coachingyouthhoops.com/clinic. If you or your organization this fall want some high quality coaches, Coach Steve and I are going to come your way. We're going to do a 3-hour clinic at your location, completely free. So if you want to level up your coaches, go to coachingyouthhoops.com/clinic to sign up for that free opportunity. Plus, there's tons of other prizes you could win as well. So go check it out, coachingyouthhoops.com/clinic, and register today. All right, Coach Patrick, looking forward to diving into one of my favorite subjects, which is defense. Again, before we do that, let's just do a little background on you. So you've played Division III. You're probably one of the longest JV coaches or varsity assistants that have hung around and stuck it out, and then became the head coach over at St. John's in the DC area. So congrats for sticking that out. You're also you started the pro skills I guess teams over in the DC area, and been doing that for a few years. So you do this what grade are you coaching? 17, third
I'm
third
not
through
coaching
11th?
this year, but I've coached
Uh,
fourth grade, eighth grade, 16U, and 17U over my time frame.
yeah, and how long have you been coaching?
I've been coaching for 8 years total,
Yeah.
but for PSB, we've are in year 4 now.
Okay. Well, good. Yeah, it's awesome. And we had the founder on the a couple weeks ago, and it was awesome meeting him. And you guys are doing an amazing job with your program, and congrats on the growth of that. It's nice to hear. So dig into St. John's. Tell us about your career there and why you got started, how you got started, and to where you're the head varsity coach. And that's new, right? That just started. Can you hear me,
Yep.
Coach?
So
Oh,
I
okay, yeah.
was yep,
Yep, go ahead.
yeah, I was the interim coach this past season. Just a pretty crazy situation that happened with St. John's.
Hmm.
But in order for me to get to this past year, let's kind of go back a little bit. I
Yeah.
was moving to the DC area to do a Teach for America type program. It was a
Okay, yeah.
fellowship program, an urban education program. And I was looking to get into coaching, and the head coach at St. John's, who's now the head coach at IMG Academy, Sean McAloon, is
Mm-hmm.
spent some time in the Richmond area when I was in high school. And so I was familiar with him, and he's a Randolph Macon guy. I went to Washington Lee, and so we connected. I had the opportunity to coach his freshman team for a year, and then I just stayed in the gym with the varsity team as much as possible. And then when he left for IMG, another one of his coaching tree assistants got the head job at St. John's, Pat Behan. And then about 2 years ago now, Pat Behan, at the age of 34, was diagnosed with
Mm.
ALS,
Oh,
and it
wow.
is was a it's he's battling still to this day.
Yeah,
His courage, is going to be legendary throughout the DMV hoops world. And so he coached 2 seasons ago, and we ended up winning our championship, which was, it's a tough league to win in, and so it was a fantastic way for him to coach his
that's
last
awesome.
year. And then I was the interim this past year, and we are thankful to have our administration trust me in running this program now moving forward. And so that's kind of where we are today.
That's well, thoughts and prayers out to that coach. That's tough, 35. So our community definitely will have him in our thoughts. And uh, but dive into your philosophy a little bit that you brought to St. John's.
Yeah, obviously, part of your philosophy is who you are as a person. One of the best pieces of advice you could get from somebody is just be who you are, be
Mm-hmm.
you, and don't try to do anything that anybody else does. But at the same time, everything's stolen. You learn terminology and building culture from the people who you are able to witness and work with. And I just think my overall philosophy comes down to two main things: give great effort, play hard, and be a great teammate. Have each other's backs. And so if we make all of our decisions with those two things in mind, we will live with the results, just kind of on an overall philosophy basis.
Yeah, and it reminded me of a story. If if you follow high school football at all, well, I coached at De La Salle, coached basketball at De La Salle High School here in Concord. But the legendary Coach Ladouceur, who's got the 151 game winning streak, the longest high school winning streak for football. I met him I was my first year. I was coaching freshmen, and I passed him in the hallway at school. And this is a legendary guy. I mean, a movie made about him. Just this, sits on the pillar, right? And everybody wanted to talk to him, get time with him. And I asked him. I said, "Coach," I said, it's my first year coaching. Any words of wisdom?" And honestly, I was expecting like this just profound statement. And, he stopped and he thought about it. And he said, "Coach, just be yourself." Because there's a reason you got hired here because of who you are. Just be yourself. And at first I was a little disappointed in that because honestly, I was looking for this like big football rah-rah speech, right? And I got just be yourself. But over the years, that small little statement has stuck with me no matter what. Like when I get in a tough situation or I got to choose between A and B, I'm like, okay, just be yourself, make the right choice, just be who you are. Don't try to be someone else. And anyway, totally relate with that, those words of wisdom. Uh, so let's dive into defense a little bit. Sum up your defense if you could in a few words. If I'm gonna walk into your gym, I'm gonna see what? Like I'm gonna know right away. Okay, this guy focuses on.
I would say, first and foremost, play hard, be a great teammate. But then
Yeah.
defensively, we want to talk about not giving up 100% shots. And so we call 100% shots just those point blank layups. And especially in the youth basketball world, if you just watch a third through eighth grade game, you will be shocked at how many right-handed layups are made. The percentage of made field goals are just right-handed layups. And so
Mm-hmm.
we just try to make our foundation avoid that. And I was talking with a coach before, and he says that I'm an NFL coach. And I was like, I don't really understand what you mean. And this is a basketball coach at a basketball tournament. And he said NFL stands for no effing layups. And I'm like, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
that's I consider myself an NFL coach, and so if you think about how you can take away layups in order, I would say number one, try to limit live ball turnovers. Right, a press break is a price of admission in youth basketball a lot of times. So that's number one. Number two is be disciplined in your transition defense, telling people that you don't have to crash the glass, don't stand and watch, go get back to prevent just those long throw ahead layups. Then having shell principles that are going to allow yourself to be connected defensively. And then finally, you have to fight like hell on the defensive glass because it doesn't matter how good your defense is. If they can jack up a shot and play ping pong at the backboard until they get a 100% shot, you have no chance. And so I would say if you walked into our gym, I hope that you would see, okay, no layups. And then on the high school side of things, you try to evolve that into, okay, no layups. and then no catch and shoot threes, and then no free
Mm,
throws. That's kind of the order in which we
mhm.
try to go through. But ultimately, the defensive philosophy for us is no layups, especially at the young ages, no dominant hand, right hand layups.
So in that particular case, there's a few defenses, and it's one I practiced too, which was lock left, force everyone left, right? Because fewer people are left-handed. So, you're not going to get those right-handed layups. Do you have any of those principles in place? Or you're just saying no layups, which, that's tough, right? No layups, but are you forcing anyone left? Are you doing, are you funneling, using like Coach Collins has the funnel down defense where he's forcing kids into the short corners. Are there any strategies around that concept of, no right-handed
I would
layups?
say, yeah, I mean, speaking from like the pro skills basketball side, so that's mostly third through eighth grade basketball.
Yeah.
Um, I picture our duty to set them up for success as they get older. And so that's just half court shell disciplined defense. And so
Mm-hmm.
what we try to do is influence baseline, and we play in the gaps and try to be in help side two
Mm-hmm.
passes away. Those are
Yeah.
the main principles that we try to talk about necessarily. Like, as we get to the high school level, it's okay. We have used the terminology lock left for certain players that are really dominant right hand, or block right for a super dominant left-handed
Mm-hmm.
player. It's scout based, but
Yeah.
especially for the third through eighth grade teams, is try to guard your yard, keep the guy in front of you. If you're going to get beat towards the baseline side, knowing that you have somebody there that's going to be there in help for you.
Yeah. No, that totally makes sense. And how do you teach, like, and how much, well, let me ask it this way. How much does a player have to bring on the defensive side versus the skills that you can teach them? Like, what would you say, that energy and effort that they bring to defense, is it more skill based, or is it more just, I want this ball back, work, more so than that other player wants to keep it, right? I mean, talk to me about that a little bit.
Yeah, as someone who struggled to guard bigs because I was too skinny, and guard guards because I was a little too slow, I can relate to that question for sure.
Yeah.
Um, but what we always say around our program, Pro Skills and St. John's, is effort is a skill. It's important to teach these young people that just like making a free throw or dribbling the ball with your left hand, if you're able to sustain effort for a long period of time, whether it's a long possession, a long game,
Hmm.
a long season, right? Just this sustained effort is going to be a separator for you in your life. And so like that's probably the number one skill that we're looking for, is just the consistent effort on the defensive end. But to some degree, like I think it's underrated, just like the physical need. Like you have to be strong, you have to be quick. And so just the physical stature of your defense is going to dictate the success of your defense, no matter how good your principles are.
Yeah, that's true. And when it comes to, I mean, as coaches, we can speak, you need to bring energy, you need to bring effort, right? Do you quantify that? Do you have a, like, how do you, and then you're talking kids, right? We're talking either, we're K through 12, and to keep that focused energy as well, right? Do you have any, I guess, tips you could offer to coaches?
I think number one is praising the right things. So we
Mm.
rarely ever say good shot or like tough
Yeah,
bucket, one of those things.
yeah.
Um, we would say good shot if they had a good quality team shot and they missed it. Hey, that's a good shot, keep shooting, but not
Mm,
like, oh, that was a beautiful crossover, like good, like that's being praised enough by everybody else.
that's
It's
interesting.
a
Yeah.
it's Bill, great help defense there. Good extra pass. Way to help your
Mm,
teammate up. Hey, pause it. Did everybody see how Bill fought like hell for that rebound? He didn't get it, but Steve got that rebound. And just finding ways to, especially at the young age groups, just
hmm.
praise those qualities that maybe when they're at home, or the average Joe in the stands won't even really realize. And then as you get older, find ways to try to quantify that. And so at the high school level, we have these toughness points that we say after every
Oh, I
game,
love
and
that. Yeah.
that is a deflection, a steal, a block, and a charge times 2. And so
Hmm.
those numbers added together, that's your toughness score for the game. And we try to shout out people that have above a 5 for us at St. John's in any given game.
I love that. I love that that concept of toughness points. I'm gonna steal that one, coach, from you. So uh awesome. So defining the toughness points. I gotta think through how we use Game Changer to keep stats, and I want to get parents on that because you're absolutely right about the good shot. You can hear it in the stands, right? And make that get that steal and go in for a layup. Get those points. Yeah, I like that. So toughness points, and define. Coaches can define that however they want to do it in the simplest terms or more complicated as as you have more people on your staff to keep stats, right?
No
But
question.
are you balanced as far as when you think about your not on a day-to-day practice plan, but over a season? Are you balanced just in general 50-50 offense defense, or would you say you sway one way or the other?
I would say that we're we were probably sway more defensively for both pro skills and for St. John's. And the reason
Hmm.
why I would say that is because we're focused more on the feedback piece defensively, but obviously when you're going live, they're getting the offensive reps against it. But I would say that most of our drills are focused on the defensive end, and I think it's just it's a something that I've stolen from Tony Bennett. He just says that when they leave those 2 hours or hour and a half they have you, they're not working on defense. So that's your opportunity to work on defensive concepts with them,
That's a good
because
point. Yeah.
once they go home, they're going to get shots up. If they're going to work hard on their ball handling, their passing, great. They're going to work on those things, but when it's a very limited amount of time where someone's just really saying, "Okay, I'm going to try to get
That's a
better defensively," and I think that's a role
yeah.
that we play as coaches.
Yeah. No, I grew up in Wisconsin too, so I know the Bennett philosophy, and I think he was
Yeah.
probably one of the first coaches where I just like turned on the TV anytime I could to watch one of his games, right, Dick? So yeah, no, especially when he's at UW Green Bay, right? And that
Oh yeah.
remember, yeah, they had that good run in the tournament. Uh, and I love that. I love that thought of you're absolutely right. They're not going to go and practice defense. So they're going to go and practice, get their shots up, work on ball handling. So uh, another good concept to take take and apply. We coach and we were talking offline that I was struggling a little bit on the defensive end recently, and I'm going through changes in my own practice plan and how I'm focused on defense. So I love those few little tips and nuggets. And can you share some? You guys, St. John's have had some success. Doing my background check, you as a coach have had a lot of success. Uh, Talk about like on the you're beating teams. I was listening to a couple of YouTube that you're beating teams that you shouldn't beat on paper, right? But you're beating them. You're beating them. What do you contribute that to?
I think it's a short answer. I'll say our culture, just
Yeah.
finding the right people to put on the bus, and that's not just players, it's
Mm,
coaches, it's family
mm,
members, and when, not if, you have adversity throughout a year,
yeah.
is like, are you going to use the opportunity to like forge bonds to make them better and closer and more meaningful, or are you going to look in a different direction? And it's a hard thing to do, and we're not perfect at it, but that's a differentiator, especially during like a long tough season. I think the other thing that we say, like, I'm big on trying to like find data to show our high school guys. And we only lost one game in the last 2 years when we uh, held a team under 55 points.
Wow.
So for
Yeah.
us, that's kind of like
Mm-hmm.
our number. Can we hold teams
Mm-hmm.
under 55? And just in general, if I was saying it to a PSB team, is it's really tough to get blown out when you hold a team to 50 points. Because at that point, like you're going to stumble across 20 to 25 points in like a middle school game. And if you have some players and you have some good concepts, you can get up to that like 40 point. And then if you have some, if you're, you know, if you're going to compete to win, then you give yourself a chance. But when you're playing against teams that are better than you, if you create more possessions and more points, all those things favor the other team. And so when we're playing against a team that's okay, they're better than us on paper. How do we
Mm-hmm.
limit the number of possessions and increase that margin of error for them and give us the best chance to win?
Do you guys have a shot clock? You don't, right?
Yes, that helps. Yeah.
You don't have a shot clock.
No, we do. We do.
Oh, you do, yeah. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. So do we up here. So if I'm listening to this, I'm a grade school coach, and I need to work on my defense, and I have, you know, as you know, max maybe 2 practices, maybe 2 hours. What am I focused on?
I would say at the grade school level,
And again, specifically defense, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
the first thing I would try to say is to like find a way to take care of the ball. That if you're going to try to give up, not give up layups, is try to find ways to take care of the ball. But now when you're on the defensive end, can they get back and create 5-on-5 situations as much as possible? If you're going to get blown out by a team, get blown out going 5-on-5, not 2-on-1s, 3-on-0s, 4-on-2s. All right. So at least try to establish yourself where you got everybody back and it's a fair fight. Okay. Now from that point, I'm working on pressuring the basketball and everybody else being in help. Because if you pressure the basketball more times than not, that person's going to put their head down and try to go score. If they're comfortable and better than you, that's an issue. But if we can pressure the basketball, then you have the other 4 players ready to make them have to make the right pass and maybe even 2 or 3 right passes in a row. Their margin for error certainly increases from that. So take care of the ball, then create 5-on-5 situations, like make them uncomfortable with the basketball, and then everybody else is help side, ready to help that person that's fighting their butt off on the ball.
Yeah. When you're guarding, and what do you teach your players? You know, again, let's speak grade school and let's go to high school. Grade school first. The players just simply, you're guarding the players just simply better than you, quicker, faster, right? Smarter, right? We all run into that player, right? How do you guard? What do you tell your player who's guarding them? What words of wisdom do you have?
I would say to pressure the basketball, but only up to the 3-point line. And so I want to make sure that I was clear with that. I don't want you pressuring the basketball at half court or 65 feet away from the rim. Just establish your shell 5-on-5, and then once they get into a scoring zone, so let's call that the 3-point line, let's be really active and be on the ball. And then we try to force or influence baseline. And so if you're going to get beat because this person is better than you, it's better for everybody else on our team to have an idea where that ball is going to go. Then that person is just able to decide wherever the hell they want to go. And so we want to say, okay, if that person is better than you, can you force them to your help to that guy in the corner that we know will be in the gap from there?
Yeah, and are you giving them space? Are you giving that player a little bit of space versus right out in their face? You going like an arm's length away just to keep them contained and in front?
I subscribe to the idea that a lot of times people are either selfish or they are not well trained at making the right read. And so I want to force that defender to put their head down and be like, okay, I'm getting pressured. I need to go to the rim. And we've talked about at practices and practices and practices, no layups, right? So when
Yeah.
that person's going like this, a lot of times our secondary defender or our third level defender is going to be able to stop them, get a steal, deflection, take a charge. Now, if that player is good enough to make those right reads, and they've proven that they're not just going to put their head down and shoot terrible shots, okay, now I would then give them space just to be like, all right, keep them in front and pray that they don't make jump shots.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So again, you're going back to what you talked about in the beginning, which is no, we're gonna in the scoring zone, right? We're going to pressure that particular player because I trust my help and my, and my other rotations if it has to go through the third level. But I'm going to put pressure on that player that's a little bit better than me and force him into a help situation.
Yep.
Yeah. And getting down into the details of that, if you split, if you got center, you split the court right down the middle. If the offense is on the right hand side of the court as you're facing them, are you forcing them? I guess it would be to their left, and you kind of splitting, and then if they're on the other side, then you're forcing them to their right. Is that how you're kind of splitting into the situation?
Exactly right.
Yeah. Okay.
We're not the type that's going to like open our hips up and say, okay, you're like leading them to
Oh,
the
you're
baseline.
not. Okay. Yeah, I
We
got
want to
you.
be like, we say squared up, but with
Mm-hmm.
your
Mm-hmm.
nose on the inside shoulder. And so it's giving you a little bit of an advantage to make them not be able to go middle. But we want to try to force them, yeah, if they're on the left side, to go downhill to their left hand so we
Mm-hmm.
know our rotations from there. Same
Yeah.
with the right side. But then when you spoke about lock left, you know, if there's somebody who, whether it's a fourth grader or a varsity level high school player,
Yeah.
that we're like, oh, wow, we're realizing they're dominating us getting downhill to their left hand,
Uh-huh.
we can lock right. So even if you're on that left,
Okay. Yeah.
if you're guarding Bill, we're going to lock right on him. So you can force middle there, and we're
That would
willing
be
to
pretty smart
jeopardize our
strategy, by the way.
principles. Say it again.
I said that would be a pretty smart strategy against me. I'm left-handed.
There you go. There you go. It's all about doing the scouting work, right?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, and I think a lot of times, and tell me if I'm right or wrong, you've come across this too. And I love the way you really talked about the three layers. You got layer one, how I'm envisioning it, it's the one-on-one. Layer two is your help, and then the third layer is, helping the helper. And as we think about our defensive strategy as coaches, right? A lot of times we focus on that one-on-one and maybe the help, but then not helping the helper. I think that's where it kind of falls off, and especially at the youth level. But if we change our philosophy and say, no, defense is one unit, but it does have three levels, right? They got to penetrate. They have to penetrate these three layers in order to get to that basket. And if we kind of change that thinking, that philosophy, that also may change our outcome on the defensive side. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, and to your point, if they score, then they made three right decisions. They found a way to get by the first defender. They
Mm-hmm.
found a way to get by the second defender, and they found a way to get by the third defender. But if you're just all playing one-on-one, that's only one decision that they had to make. And so just trying to make the offense make as many right decisions in a row to then get a high quality shot is ultimately the name of the game, especially at the youth level, because a lot of times I don't trust uh, their decision making, and also their ability to make the right read 3 or 4 times yet. And so we're gonna try to force them to do that first.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Walk me through, and let's take it in a small chunk. So, I'm a third grade or fourth grade basketball coach. And I don't coach year round, right? I'm in a rec league or what have you, right? Local community league. Um, uh, Number one thing I should focus on, or what your expectation that they should focus on the defensive side at that level.
I would say gap help would
Mm,
be like the number one priority. You're you're not going to be able to help make them great athletes to guard the ball as much as possible, but are you giving
mm,
your best effort on the ball? We say max ball pressure, and that doesn't mean that your max and my max is the exact same, but
right.
how much ball pressure can you provide in order for them to not just completely blow your doors off and get a layup? And so what is your max ball pressure?
Mm,
Provide that. And
hmm.
then my number one thing would be the next guys that are one pass away on either side, making them really good at being in the gap help. And
Yeah.
the terminology that we use is the bottom of the V. So if there's a person in the corner and a person on the wing, if there's the offensive guys, if you drew the letter V from them, we want you kind of in that space there. So we
Yeah.
don't say on the line, up the line in denial. We try to be like in the gap, right there at the quote bottom of the V of those two players. So
Yeah, we call
gap
that
help.
51. You're halfway between the ball and your player, and then one step back. So, I'm yelling out 51, 51, right? And the players
Yeah,
know that,
I like it.
okay, so very, as you know, in the game, it's like, get in the help or get in the gap. It's like, no,
Right.
51. They know mentally, right?
I like it.
Correlating that. Okay, let's go up. So now we're fifth, six. What do we focus on there? So we got help at the young. So now I got my gap down. Now what?
I think the next step would be when you are in gap help, and this is a philosophy thing for
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
for sixth grade, seventh grade, in like the middle school like area,
Yeah.
they can
Okay.
now hit catch and shoot threes.
Yeah.
And so if I'm the secondary defender guarding the person in the corner and the person in the slot or the wing rips downhill to their right hand,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to just fully sell out to then make that sixth grader just make an easy pass to the corner for a catch and shoot 3-pointer. I would rather us stunt and try to dig at the
Mm-hmm.
ball and
Yep.
then get back and then trust that third level defender that's going to come. If they end up making a good move and getting all the way to the rim, then it's that third level defender. And so we say no strong side help. If they're driving towards
Oh,
you,
okay. Yeah.
too often guys think, "Oh, I'm helping." Yeah, you took away the help, but you also gave up the second worst thing that we want to do is a catch and shoot three. And so
Yeah.
if you're one pass away, you're in the gap, dissuading the drive, but as the drive comes, you're then faking and falling back to that guy in the corner, making them either shoot a pull-up jump shot, or if they get all the way to the rim, it's the third level defender.
Well, and this brings up a really good point because 101 ways to teach this game. So you have no help on ball side, right, or strong side. Uh, so if I am defending the ball, I get beat. The other way you could defend that is a peel switch, right? So
Mm-hmm.
now if I'm guarding you, you beat me downhill, help comes over, I then go pick up the defender that, right? Again, right, it's whatever you teach and whatever you believe in. It's not that one's right or wrong, or where are the holes in a peel switch in that particular situation.
Yep. And I would just say, well, first off, are you going to try really hard and communicate? If you see it, I trust you and go do it, right?
Yeah.
Hey, I thought he was going to get a wide open layup, so I went all the way to help. Okay, great. Just know that we're like our number one priority is no layups, and then our number two priority, if you can, is to take away that strong zone help catch and shoot three. And
Mm-hmm.
so like a lot of times, like pack line forces middle. There's a lot of really good stuff that you can get out of that. So there's nothing wrong with it. It's just do we know our priorities, and then can you try to make those decisions in a split second time? And then as a coach, you have to trust that they're doing their absolute best to make those right choices, and they're gonna mess it up at times. And you
Right.
have to just
Yeah.
continue to believe in them and coach them up, and have them play to their full potential, knowing that the mistakes will be made.
Well, in that particular, so if there's two different coaches, one coach is you, and you're teaching hey, we're not giving, we're fake and fade on help side, uh, or on ball side, because that's coach one philosophy, right? Where, we're now the third layer of defense has to come and stop that layup, right? Because
Yep.
we're staying in our player on the corner. Okay, so that's one philosophy. That's your philosophy. Second philosophy then is the peel off of that, pick up the guy in the corner, right? Because we stopped the help defense just stopped that layup, so the guy in the corner is wide open. So I peel off of you and go to that corner. Two different
Yep.
philosophies. Any thoughts you know, like I said, 101 ways to teach the game, but do you see one better or worse, or it's just like stick with an idea and whatever you believe in, you believe in. It's either one is going to work. I don't know. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I want, you know,
No,
your
I, I
thoughts
I
on that
think
because that's where coaches get confused a lot. They see, well, he's doing this and I'm doing that, and the parents in the stands are saying, well, why aren't you doing appeal? You know what I mean? You know where that
yeah.
goes, right? And it's like then you start second guessing yourself. Like I don't know, you know. So,
My distinction would be a peel switch would be great
mhm.
if the person who's guarding the ball got completely beat. Like they're no
Mm,
longer side to side. It
yeah.
is they're now past. That's a great opportunity to peel switch. I'm gonna take your person because you're the number one priority. Go get mine. But the fake and fall scenario fits if it's not a full on, I just got by the person guarding the ball. They just need a little help, a little second so they can try to get back in
Mm,
front. And so
mhm.
that's where I would try to say, make this decision in the split moment. Do you think that the guy guarding the ball got completely beat? Then fully slide over,
Yeah.
and then we will jump over. But if not, then I want you just to jab and get back.
Okay. So, and I think that's to further that point is if your guy he just got beat, right? He's just behind, and it's it's either a layup or a three, and that help defender's got to make the choice. Is he going to stop the layup, right? Or is he going to come over and uh, I'm assuming what you're saying is, okay, he's going to stop the layup, right? Yeah,
In
okay. Because that's
NFL,
number
no
one.
layup.
Because that's number
Yep.
one. Yeah, and number
Rule number
two is
one,
the
no
three.
layups.
Okay, yeah, that totally makes sense. Because I think that's a lot of times too, where if you don't have a philosophy on defense or offense, of just philosophy in general, that's where those things are like, well, coach, you told me no layups, but I just gave up a three, or right, you know what I mean? It's just like, okay, number one is number one is layups, number two is threes. We stop the layup, then stop the three next. So it's good to, I think that helps kids not get stuck in this paralysis mode and then they don't know what to do and they freeze. Decision number one, stop the layup, and then
Absolutely.
yeah, that's good. Okay. Well, thank you for clarifying that. I know we kind of hit that point hard, but I think it's a really important point and just general idea and general philosophies of how, we coaches sometimes overthink the game, but you've laid it out really simply. I appreciate that. Thank you. Uh, so let's just talk about we cannot bring this subject up, cannot, yeah, bring this subject up, or and talk about defense without talking about zone at the youth level. So zone or no zone, and when do you teach a zone?
Especially at the elementary school level, I am super anti-zone.
Okay.
Here's why.
Yeah.
Um, you're probably going to win more games playing a zone because third, fourth, fifth graders maybe aren't able to make threes at an efficient clip or make a skip pass but eventually you're going to be playing against people that can. And so again, under the philosophy of when we're coaching elementary and middle schoolers, we are trying to prepare them for success. And we think that preparing them for success is, do they have good man-to-man half court defense concepts? And so we are okay with maybe losing a game that we would have won at times if we played more man than zone. But you have to be able to reckon with zone at some point. So we're not going to discount it.
Yeah.
But the priority for us, like I never want to go into a PSP practice and we have somebody working on a 2-3 zone for 25 minutes. No. If you want to just, wow, like we're getting beat by this team and we need to adjust. Okay, like I'm okay with going to a zone, but we're going to continue to work day to day on our man-to-man principles.
What about full court press?
I would say preparing our guys, when we have our coaches clinic for our PSP guys, we say the price of admissions to an AAU tournament is a press break. You have to like just be prepared. It's a fact of life.
Yeah.
Rule number one for other teams is, can we just physically impose ourselves on this other team and take the ball from them and shoot layups? And so you have to be prepared for that. Again, for us, I would say we always want to like fall back on the half court man-to-man defense. However, there are times that we will implement a full court man or a run and jump. Let's say out of a timeout, right?
Mm-hmm.
The other coach is going to draw up a play. We try to blow it up. There are situations for that, but we want the majority of time when you see a pro skills DC or pro skills basketball in general, we want you to be able to see half court man-to-man defense of guys that are just playing hard and playing together.
Mm-hmm. Uh, so you're teaching a press, right? But it's more, you're going to be more of man-to-man style press, run and jump, or just straight up man-to-man.
For me, like
Yeah.
when I was coaching our fourth grade team, I never taught a press. We pressed at times. Hey, we're down by 8. Call
Mm-hmm.
timeout.
Yeah.
Set up 1-2-1-1. Hey, when they
Oh, you
pass the
did?
ball
Okay.
here, let's trap and fly around. Like they can adjust and we'll see. But I would rather spend my time in practice helping them understand our defensive philosophy and getting them prepared of like knowing how to play help defense and that type of stuff, because that's long-term benefits. If we lose a game by a couple possessions at fourth grade because we didn't understand how to, rotate out of a diamond press, okay.
What about speaking of trapping? Let's first talk about in a half court set. I mean, there's obviously trapping defenses. There's right. Are you more surgical? When should you teach that? Start implementing traps? What are you looking for, especially at the grade school level?
Grade school level, I would say if they have one dominant player, which sometimes you may see, okay, they're only going to score 30 points this game and 20 are coming from number 4. All right. Well, whenever number 4 starts to go, we're going to send somebody, right? We want to get the ball out of their hand and we're going to scramble from there. I think if they set ball screens for that number 1 player, great opportunity to trap the ball screen rather than, if you have a slower guy and they're setting ball screens and you're switching it or he's just attacking that hedge, that's bad news for us. So let's just go trap it out of a ball screen. And then out of timeouts or out of quarters or halves, when they start with the ball, hey, let's just start off with some energy. Let's risk it. Maybe they get a layup, maybe we do, but let's always start each new session with energy and effort.
Yeah. What about switching screens? Generally, generally speaking, like what's your philosophy? Do you switch? Do you stay? Do you try to, jump?
For most of my coaching situations, I'm really open to switching on ball screens, but not off ball screens. In my eyes, off ball screens are often, that's just laziness to not like fight through, and it creates too many mismatches. But then on ball screens, if you switch it, it helps a ton with your backside rotations. You don't have to go in too much detail and how to, you just say, okay, switch. And then if a team is going to stop their offense, throw it back and walk their big guy down to try to post up one of our smaller guards, I'm okay with that. And I hope our little guards are able to fight like hell on that post up. So I would say I'm open to switching on ball, but we try to not switch off the ball unless it's an emergency situation.
Do you want to hear the most boring clinic that you could have for kids that I think is so needed?
I'm ready.
All how to guard and how to handle screens. That like I could literally, I think of about 3 hours worth of the material if that's all you did in a camp or a clinic, and how to defend and how to make reads off of it if you're on the offensive side. I mean, just think there's so many details and so many what if situations. Yeah, but I think I don't think that would sell out.
Yeah. I would shout out my college coach, Adam Hutchinson. early on at Washington Lee, he said, these are the 8 screens that we're going to see: back screen, flex screen, ball screen, right? Okay, here's how we're going to guard them. Unless we change via scout, here's how we're going to guard them. And so in the first 2 weeks of me playing college basketball, I had a concept of like, okay, we're going to lock and trail or we're not, or we're going to jump to the ball or we're not. And
Yeah.
so I thought that was super, super helpful. And I had never really thought about it. There's only a certain amount of types of screens that you're going to see most regularly.
Yeah. But you said there was 8? Yeah, 8 screens you're going to see, right?
Yes, I made
Yeah,
a
I
number
mean,
up. I'm not sure how many it actually
oh yeah,
was.
I was going to say,
I'll
but I was going
exaggerate.
to say that's a lot, right? And then you think of all the details within, right, and how to cover that. And that's what
Oh,
I'm
no
saying. It's
question.
like
No
crazy,
question.
right? Anyway, that's all right. Any final thoughts, Coach? You got the mic. When it comes to coaching grade school basketball, it doesn't necessarily be about defense, but you got the floor. What do you want to share with coaches?
I was just doing my research before this podcast, and
Yeah,
I think your mission sums it up. Just try to positively impact. I think it's like 1 million kids before
yeah,
2032 or something like that. Like
yeah, yeah,
that's what this is, man. That's what this is.
yeah,
Um, just if you can, if they can build a love for the game of basketball, it will pay back to them and to you tenfold. And so you are controlling the narrative to the kids and to the parents. They're going to be given the wrong information from a lot of different parts of our society, whether they're at a major AU tournament or someone's yelling at the refs, or they're looking at the stats in the in the box scores in the NBA, how many points you score, how many points you score. As a coach, can you be that shining light to say, are you playing hard? Are you being a great teammate? And are you building a love for the game? And if you just fall back on those things, you'll also have a lot more fun as well. And so, I would leave us with that comment.
yeah. No, you're absolutely 100%. I mean, that's why I changed my philosophy too, from not just a coach, I'm a teacher. And there's I I, I don't know how many times you've gone into practice saying, I don't want to go to practice today, right? Life got in the way during the day, the workload, whatever. And as soon as I step across that gym door, it all just goes away. I'm like, okay, here's my mission. This is why I'm here, right? Seeing those kids and like all the bad stuff goes away. And the next, hour and a half is focused on them and making them better people and better players. And that's what drives me as well. So I appreciate that, Coach. Thank you so much for your knowledge. This was amazing. We're gonna check back in with you during the season, and
Yeah.
love to see what's changed, what's stayed the same. And but yeah, I'll reach out to you if you don't mind jumping back on for a little recap on. This will be your. Is this gonna be your first? Like, I know you were interim, but this is your first year coming up that you're officially the head coach, right?
That's right. Yeah. So
Yeah.
hopefully we're not giving up 98 points a game come January.
I'm sure not with your philosophy. You got that down in place already, and those kids will be fired up, ready to go. Coach, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and keep on doing what you're doing. You're doing amazing work out there.
Thanks, Bill. You too, for sure.
All right.
Hey, Coach, so glad you enjoyed the video. Subscribe and like before you leave. And also go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. It's got everything and a roadmap for you to become a better basketball coach. So go over and check it out. And let's head back to the next video, wherever that would be.